My wife beat me, then her family sneered. What kind of man gets hit by a woman? I replied, the kind who documents everything. Then I played the security videos for the police. Her wealthy family's lawyers couldn't explain away the evidence as she was arrested. I, 38 male, am sitting in a hotel room that smells faintly of bleach and regret. It's better than the smell of my own home right now. My wife, Ashley, 35, has a fire in her. When we met, it was intoxicating, a passion that made everything feel more vivid. But over the last few years, the warmth has turned into a blaze that just wants to consume. It started with things. A plate shattered against a wall, a phone thrown with enough force to crack the screen. Annoying. Expensive. But things are just things. Last night, it stopped being about things. The reason is so stupid, so banal, it's embarrassing to even type. I forgot to pick up the specific, artisan brand oat milk she likes for her morning latte. Not just any oat milk. The one from the boutique grocery store across town that costs $9 a carton. I'd had a brutal day at work. It completely slipped my mind. The verbal lashing began the moment I walked in the door. I was useless, inconsiderate, selfish. I've learned to just ride these storms out. I stood there, taking it, waiting for the hurricane to pass. But then she shoved me. A hard, two-handed shove to the chest that sent me stumbling backward. I knocked into the corner of our marble kitchen island, the edge digging painfully into my back. Ashley, this is insane. It's milk. That was my mistake, questioning the validity of her rage. She slapped me, not a dramatic movie-style slap, a hard, stinging crack across the face that made my ear ring. Before I could even process it, she came at me again. It wasn't a flurry of hysterical slaps. It was methodical. A few closed fist punches landed on my chest, my arms. I just raised my hands to cover my face. I didn't push her back. I didn't even speak. I just waited for her to be done. When the storm subsided, she stood there, breathing heavily, her face flushed with victory. I turned around without a word, grabbed my keys and my wallet, and walked out the door. The first person I called was her sister, Kimberly. I thought she, of all people, would be a voice of reason. I was wrong. After I explained what happened, there was a long pause on the other end of the line. Well, Kimberly said, her voice dripping with a kind of amused condescension. What did you do to set her off this time? I was speechless. She assaulted me, Kimberly, over milk. And then she laughed. A short, sharp, ugly sound. Seriously? Come on. What kind of man gets hit by a woman? She's what, 120 pounds soaking wet? You're being a little dramatic, don't you think? Her husband, Stephen, got on the extension, his voice a smug baritone. You need to grow a pair, man. Go home and handle your business. Don't be a victim. A victim. That word flipped a switch. The fog of shock and pain receded, replaced by a cold, quiet clarity. They weren't just defending her. They were mocking me for being the one who was hit. My pain was a punchline to them. I went back to the house this morning. Ashley was in the living room, sipping her coffee, made with the emergency inferior oat milk, I noted with a detached sense of irony. Her parents were with her, flanking her on the sofa like a pair of well-dressed gargoyles. A united front. Her father, a man whose personality is 90% expensive watch and 10% unsolicited business advice, stood up as I entered. Son, he said, his voice magnanimous, let's not let a small marital tiff spiral out of control. We can handle this right here, within the family. I didn't look at him. I looked directly at Ashley. Her expression was smug, defiant. She was expecting an apology. I walked over to the wall-mounted tablet that controls our smart home features. I tapped the screen a few times, navigating to the security app. You know, I said, my voice calm, almost conversational. Kimberly asked me what kind of man gets hit by a woman. I could see the confusion on their faces, followed by a flicker of unease in Ashley's eyes. I have an answer now, I continued, pressing play on a file dated last night. The kind who documents everything. I'd installed the security cameras 6 months ago. We'd had a string of misplaced items, a watch of mine, some cash from a drawer, that coincided with visits from her perpetually down-on-his-luck brother. I told Ashley they were just for the exterior doors and windows. I lied. They were in the kitchen and the living room too, high definition, with crystal-clear audio. The scene played out on the 65-inch television above the fireplace. Every word, every shove, every single punch. The sound of her knuckles hitting my chest was sickeningly clear in the silent room. I watched their faces. Ashley's smugness dissolved into stark terror. Her mother's hand flew to her mouth. Her father's face went from ruddy confidence to a pale, ashen gray. As the video version of me walked out the door, I stopped the playback. The doorbell rang. Ashley finally found her voice, a high-pitched shriek. "You spied on me? You recorded me in my own home?" "I recorded a crime," I corrected her, just as two police officers stepped into the room. I had already called them from the hotel. I'd already uploaded the video files to a secure cloud server and emailed the link to the responding officer. They saw my face, the swelling and the distinct purplish bruise beginning to form around my left eye. They saw the video. Her family's expensive lawyers can spin a lot of things. But they can't spin a 4K video with perfect audio. She was still screaming about her privacy as they put her in handcuffs. Update. The silence in this house is a physical presence. It's heavy. I walk from room to room and it follows me. Ashley is out on bail. Her father's money works fast. The first shot across the bow came yesterday morning, not as a phone call, but as an email that landed in my inbox. It was from a man who introduced himself as the family's lawyer. The language was meticulously crafted, reeking of expensive confidence. He used phrases like unfortunate domestic incident and a misunderstanding escalated by all parties. He suggested that my part in the marital discord would naturally be a focus of any legal proceedings. Then came the offer, written in smooth legalese, a generous six-figure sum in consideration for my emotional and physical troubles, contingent on me signing a non-disclosure agreement and informing the district attorney that I wished to drop all charges. It was a bribe dressed up as a settlement, and he was arrogant enough to put it in writing. I didn't reply. I simply forwarded the entire email with full headers to my own lawyer. I've been busy. My grief is there, a low hum beneath the surface, but my energy is better spent on methodical action. The law? My first call after the police was to a divorce attorney. I chose the one whose reputation in these matters is formidable. Other lawyers in town quietly call her the scrapper. I've already met with her. I gave her the police report number and the link to the security footage. When I forwarded her the email from Ashley's lawyer, her response was a single, terse sentence. "This is excellent." The fortress, a temporary restraining order, has been granted. Ashley is not allowed within 500 feet of the house or my place of work. The money. My lawyer immediately filed for divorce, and with it, an emergency motion for a temporary financial restraining order to freeze all marital assets pending discovery. A judge signed it this morning. It was a copy of that court order, not just the police report, that I took to the bank. The manager was obligated to comply. Our substantial joint savings and checking accounts are now locked. Any withdrawal requires a subsequent court order. My salary is now deposited into a new separate account. The digital ghost. I've systematically gone through every single account we shared. Streaming services, Amazon Prime, Spotify, even the cloud storage we both used. New passwords for everything. It feels petty, I know. But every notification she gets about a failed login will be a small reminder that her actions have consequences. Last night, I found one of her cashmere sweaters draped over the armchair in our bedroom. For a split second, a wave of something, nostalgia, loss, washed over me. I remembered buying it for her on a trip we took a few years ago. The her I thought I'd married, the one who laughed and held my hand. Then I caught my reflection in the closet mirror. The bruise around my eye has blossomed into a grotesque, multicolored sunset of purple, blue, and sickly yellow. I picked up the sweater. It still smelled faintly of her perfume. I walked it to the garage and dropped it into a trash bag. The memory was gone. All that was left was the evidence. Update: the war has gone cold. No more direct attacks, just a campaign of insidious whispers and entitled demands. Kimberly, my dear sister-in-law, has apparently appointed herself Ashley's PR manager. I've received a few texts from mutual friends. They start with a concerned, "Hey man, just checking in on you," but quickly pivot to, "Kimberly mentioned things were really tense before the fight. What's her side of it?" They aren't asking for my side. They're fishing for confirmation of a narrative that I was controlling, that I drove her to it. My response has been consistent and brief. "Thank you for your concern. It's a legal matter now, so I can't discuss details. The evidence will be presented in court." It's a beautifully frustrating, unassailable position. I am not engaging. I am not defending myself. I am simply pointing toward a future date where the truth will be undeniable. I'm letting them show their true colors, and Kimberly is painting with a very broad, very ugly brush. Ashley herself has started testing the boundaries of the restraining order. She's blocked on my phone, so she's taken to email from a new account. The first one was tearful. The second accused me of trapping her and violating her trust. The latest one arrived this morning. You have ruined my life over one little argument. One little argument. Every single email has been converted to a PDF and forwarded to my lawyer and the detective on the case. Each one is another exhibit for the file, a clear, documented pattern of harassment that violates the TRO. Then there was the doorbell. I was making coffee on Saturday morning when the ring notification popped up on my phone. It was Stephen, Kimberly's husband, standing on my front porch. He jabbed the bell again, his face a mask of impatient belligerence. I didn't open the door, I just activated the speaker. "Can I help you, Stephen?" "Dude, open the door, we need to talk." "No, we don't. You're on my property, Stephen." "Don't be an ass," he sneered. "This has gone on long enough. You're tearing this family apart over a damn slap." "It wasn't a slap, Stephen, and you know it. Ashley is the one who tore this family apart when she chose to assault me. It was a fight. Couples have fights. You didn't have to call the cops, you could have been a man about it." "Being a man means not raising your hands to your partner, Stephen," I said, my voice cold. "And it means not defending those who do. You're trespassing. I'm documenting this interaction. I suggest you leave." I saved the video file. Another piece of documentation for the file. The final indignity came via a letter from her new lawyer. A demand for access to the house to retrieve her personal belongings. My lawyer responded within the hour. We agreed to a 4-hour window next week. My lawyer has hired an off-duty cop to be present as an impartial third party. He will have a copy of our prenup, which meticulously lists what she owned prior to the marriage, and an 8-page inventory of the household items we acquired together. She will get exactly what belongs to her. Not a single undocumented throw pillow more. Final update. The final verdict came down last week. It's over. Ashley's family threw a mountain of money at the problem. They tried everything. They filed motions to have the video evidence suppressed. The judge, after reviewing the footage and the context, denied the motion flatly. They tried to paint me as a cold, calculating antagonist. That narrative fell apart under the weight of the evidence I had quietly compiled. The harassing emails from Ashley, the initial bribe-like offer from her first lawyer, the ring video of Stephen on my porch. My refusal to engage in their drama made me look restrained, not manipulative. Faced with a jury trial they knew they would lose spectacularly, they folded. Ashley accepted a plea deal. She pleaded guilty to a lesser charge of misdemeanor domestic battery. It's not the felony the DA initially pushed for, but it's a permanent public record of a violent offense. The sentence, 2 years of probation, a court-mandated 52-week anger management program, a significant fine, and a permanent restraining order. The fallout has been comprehensive. Her employer, a high-end family-first lifestyle brand, fired her. The charge, even as a misdemeanor, violated the morality clause in her contract. The story ripped through her professional circle. Last I heard, she'd sold her Tesla to cover her legal fees and had moved back in with her parents. The family, Kimberly and Stephen's attempt to poison the well, backfired. When people learned the truth, their campaign looked less like defending a loved one and more like enabling an abuser. Her father's arrogance also had its own consequences. In his rage, he made a series of angry calls to his business partners, complaining about the situation and demanding they cut ties with a company I have a minor connection to. One of these partners, a major investor in 2 of the father's largest developments, got spooked, not by me, but by the father's erratic behavior and the potential brand-tarnishing association with a domestic violence case. To protect his own interests, he initiated a full third-party audit of their shared ventures. It's a messy, expensive headache born entirely of the father's own tantrum. The assets. The divorce was finalized last month. Her domestic violence plea gave my lawyer all the leverage she needed. I kept the house and a significantly larger portion of our savings. The final loose end, which concluded just last week, was the matter of the tooth-in $850 security deposit on a luxury apartment her brother had rented 2 years ago. Ashley had co-signed the lease. The brothers skipped out. The management company came after her. Since our assets were still tied up, the demand letter came to my lawyer. We paid it from the frozen joint account before the final division. Then my lawyer successfully argued in the divorce settlement that the $2,850 debt was hers alone, reducing her final payout by that exact amount. A clean, final bureaucratic victory. And me? I'm okay. There was no cinematic moment of them breaking down, begging for forgiveness. They remain bitter, convinced that I am the villain. Their opinion of me is no longer my concern. The house is quiet now, but it's a peaceful quiet. I repainted the kitchen a calm, neutral gray. I host a weekly poker game where my friends can put their feet on the coffee table without fear of an explosion. It's not a victory that brings joy. There's no fist pumping. It's just relief. The profound relief of a storm that has finally passed. I look in the mirror now and the bruise is long gone. I no longer see a victim. I see a man who, when pushed to the absolute edge, didn't lash out. He didn't scream. He documented. And in the end, that was more than enough.